Hello everyone, I really hope you're doing great. The holidays are coming up, New Year's Eve and everything, and being back with your friends and family can be so sweet and warm, but also quite freaking stressful because, it's gift season and who can afford gifts now? I grew up with my sweet single mom and my brothers and everything was quite hard, but she always managed to create and give us everything and just have moments and gifts with everything we had, and looking back at it now, we didn't need anything more. In today's video, I want to share with you ways to DIY your old clothes and shoes and generally pieces that you can customize and create the most unique and beautiful gifts for your people or even for yourself. Buying new things has become something most people cannot afford, so I'm going to be upcycling, revamping and refreshing my whole outfit, the shirt I'm wearing, the jeans, and also my Dr. Martens boots. This can be so unique and meaningful for your loved ones, and also, not to mention, good for the environment. When everyone else is out there buying the same thing and looking the same way, you and your friends could be so cool going out with things you just made. This could even be an activity you can do alongside with them. You can invite them to your home, tell them to bring some drinks, their old pieces, and start chatting and gossiping about all the things that happened when you were all away. And you can exchange things. You can grab your friend's shirt and you can give them your jeans or whatever and let them go all out, doodle whatever they want, like a little love letter or just things that remind you of them, their favorite shows, TV shows, music, taste, items, anything. It can be really anything. You can even do this with your kids, because have you seen the art and fashion nowadays? It looks like a kid made it, so let them go all out, doodles, scratches, lines, smudges, whatever they want. And honestly, in the end, it will look like such a high fashion piece and everyone will be wondering where you got it. And to do all that, I'm going to be using only markers. And at this point, I would like to say a huge thank you to Staedtler for sponsoring this video, because I have such a love relationship with their products. I'm using their pigment liners every day to plan, journal, and just sketch. And I'm so excited to share with you their paint markers and their permanent markers. Both markers are designed to paint, write, and decorate any surface like paper, cardboard, plastic, metal, wood, stone, and clothes or shoes, and generally any hard or soft surface, since after application and drying time they become permanent and waterproof. Their difference is that permanent markers have transparency, so the colors will show up mostly on lighter surfaces, while the paint markers have acrylic paint that will immediately show up in any dark surface. Also, the permanent markers, when applied in a soft surface like the fabric, they blend into the fibers and leave the fabric feeling still soft, while the paint markers, since they are acrylic paint, when dried, they become a bit stiff, still really nice, but you can feel the difference in the touch. The Lumocolor paint markers come in a set of 10 vibrant colors, while the Lumocolor permanent markers come in 2 sets, 10 with a medium-sized tip and 14 with a fine tip. Starting off with the clothes, I will be using all the black markers. The Lumocolor black permanent fine marker for the details, the medium for the shading, and the black paint marker for the thicker total black areas. We all have pieces of clothes that we have owned for so long, kind of forgotten in our closets, and can't quite get rid of, but wouldn't mind refreshing and just using for a fun creative session. As you have probably guessed, I'm going for a floral pattern spreading over the whole front part of my shirt and the jeans. The inspiration for the style is one of my latest sketches I made. Lately, I find very comforting to create art that has textures and using lines to cover more space quicker, but also have in the end a piece of art that is full of emotions and movement, and just something about this style really speaks to me. The first moments were about me figuring out the placement and the layout and gaining a system and a process that I can repeat in order to create a cohesive look throughout all the fabric. And that also made it easier for me to break down everything for you. Here is my process. I knew I wanted the leaves and the branches to be big, so I firstly created the branches in order to have the base body to start placing the leaves. As you can see, the markers are so smooth on the shirt, and I honestly didn't even have to slow down. They wrote down very clearly and everything just followed my hand speed, and that was key to achieving this sketchy look. Even for the finest lines, it was so buttery smooth. The branchy shading is made of sketchy sections that I just place vertically following all the body, while all the other elements have the same shading process. The corners and outer parts are being really dark, and in the middle I have the finer sketchy shading. And to tie everything together, the whimsical curved lines filled any space that felt empty or disconnected. Also, it is important to mention that you should place something in between your clothes so the paint won't transfer to the backside. Even just a few sheets of paper will work great. Having finished half of the shirt, I was already able to see the final piece and I was so excited. I then mapped out the rest of the left side, repeated everything and even moved on to the jeans. Here once again you can see my process. The flowers have a simple structure, an oval shape full of symmetrical pointy petals, and then the total black at the lower part using the acrylic paint marker and doing the same for the pointy ends of the petals, and then filling in the middle part with sketchy lines with a finer nib of the F marker. For the leaves, I had in mind 3 shaded sections, split by 2 empty that will be used as the highlights. I would go and fill in the 3 sections with the same exact technique as I showed you, just sketchy lines. Then using the medium marker to darken the edges by quickly moving and flicking the marker to create a smooth swoosh movement and soft shading. And also for the extra contrast, I would add random little spots of black. Being almost done, here you can also see the paper I used in between the jeans to protect the other side. You can also see how I painted and covered part of the jeans that were worn out and damaged from all the years. Here the elasticity of the fabric has been lost, creating those weird spots that now are far less visible. Also, the jeans had even smoother fabric and the markers were even better and more perfect in capturing fine lines, and I was truly amazing. It was like drawing on paper. You could really see every little stroke I made. And the 2 pieces are done and they are totally my favorite pieces of clothes I have, all made with just a few markers and upcycled old pieces. Imagine all the designs and drawings you could create for your friends and loved ones, or even the gift of a really affordable and ethical way to spend your time and have fun and be creative. Feel free to recreate this pattern or anything else you can imagine. I would love to see you. You can always DM me at Kalyapilivyaki on Instagram. I always try to reply back and repost and reshare, and it's just amazing to see what you have created. Moving on to our final item, the Dr. Martens boots. Such a stable piece. Most people own these shoes, so imagine how amazing it will feel to make them unique. But generally you can apply everything you see to your sneakers, your Vans or boots or any other hard or soft surface. To prep the leather, I used this leather deglazer that I realized is mostly just a strong acetone to softly remove the first layer on the dogs to be able to sketch, and while also making the paint stick even better since it removes a bit of that glossy feeling leather shoes may have. For the boots, I will mostly be using the Lumocolor paint markers. I love the color selection of this Staedtler set. You have to shake before use, and as you can see, they are extremely pigmented and vibrant. Even though I chose a more minimal graphic approach and I will be using only one color, you can even unload the paint from the markers on a palette and mix them to create even more colors, or just use a brush for a finer detailed application. I will show you exactly how I use this technique that honestly makes the markers so versatile, and it's a great way to remember that they are still acrylic paint. The perfectionist in me had to create a mock-up on the iPad of the design I was going for. I even printed it out and placed it on the Dr. Martens to see how I was feeling about it. But honestly, there are so many amazing examples of DIY dogs that you can either use simple doodles and lines and stress-free art that will make them look so cool, or you can even go all out and have a painting on them. For the undersketch, I used a Staedtler pastel pencil. Any light color will do. I used the white one, and let me tell you, it was such a huge lifesaver. I was so stressed on how I would create the same design on both shoes, and having the pastel pencil to write on leather so nicely just gave me such a huge relief because I could sketch, erase with water and a little cotton pad if I needed, and just plan everything before I used the acrylic paint markers. For some of you who have seen my Becoming a Tattoo Artist videos, I was heavily inspired by ornamental tattoo designs that I draw lately, and I love the way something like that would fit with the Dr. Martens aesthetic and style, especially the black and orange color combination. And now that I have successfully finished the first one, let me take you back on how I did it. For the overall design, I made the decision to have two types of lines. The bolder ones that would be in the center and made straight with the marker, and the finer ones on the background, the little flames, that would be made with the unloaded paint from the marker on the palette and using a brush to apply. A great tip for correcting any mistake is to quickly remove the paint with water and a clean wet brush or a clean wet cotton pad, really catching up before the acrylic paint dries and settles on the surface. The Lumo color paint markers were really vibrant on the leather, and it took only 2 layers to have a final solid application. After the first layer is dried, I used water and a cotton pad to remove the white sketch and have a clean view for the final layer. Retracing all the lines and letting everything to finally completely dry gives you also one last way to correct any mistakes, which is grabbing the fine black permanent marker and covering any little part you don't want. I have to admit, smoothing out lines like that was really satisfying, and the upside of painting on a black surface. Then I followed the same exact steps to finish the back piece. And just like that, I have completed a full custom upcycled outfit using only markers. I will have a link on all the supplies I use in the description box down below. Thanks again so much to Staedtler for partnering with me in this great project, and I hope I gave you some inspiration for your upcoming gifts and to just have a fun art session with all your favorite people. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button because it helps so much, and till next time, have a super duper day. I will leave you now with some final thoughts cause I freaking love this outfit. Bye!